There was a very important letter that I made sure I did not walk out of that human resources office the day that I got, quote, end of quote, laid off back in 1997. It just occurred to me because I was watching a video about a gentleman that got, quote, fired from his job somewhere else. Okay. And it brought it to mind about this letter in my case. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode on this channel, the Save Money More with Jan channel. Before I get into today's episode, I have to talk to you about a channel change. And I put it down in my community tab, but well, let's face it, not everybody finds or reads community tab posts. So for the folks that are listening, this is important. Normally, as has been for quite a long time, I would upload 2 videos a day. That is double work. It's double work for you as a listener. It is double work for me as a content creator. I said, I'm going to streamline this a little bit better. You will still absolutely hear from me every single day with God's permission, of course. Now, the big difference is I'm not going to upload 2 times a day. Instead, I'm going to release a video 1 time a day. Let me know in the comment section below what time of the day would you be more prone to putting on one of my videos? Okay, I'm just curious. Do you still like 1:45 p.m. or do you still or would you prefer a morning slot? I'm still going to come to whatever conclusion I come to, but I would love your feedback. So having said that, starting this Monday, March 31, one upload a day. They may be a little bit longer, okay? Instead of maybe 6 or 7 minutes, they'll run past 8 minutes. I don't think I would ever go very long, but probably I'm just guesstimating. It depends on the subject matter and what I need to say. So I'm not going to put it at a fixed number because let's say a topic ran out of, the topic is finished, whatever I had to say is finished, and it just so happens to have finished, let's say at 7 minutes, it's going to go to 7 minutes. But if I have to take more time, it's going to take more time. So it's going to vary. And always know whenever you watch any video, if you're low on time and you still want to watch it, you could always press pause on the video, then go back to the video whenever you feel like it. I'm just mentioning. So Monday starts a new thing, and we're going to go along with it. Now I pre-recorded next week's shows last week. Okay, so of course, the time's going to vary, but the following week might just be slightly longer. All right. Having said that, I'll be more streamlined because just imagine I was doubling my work, double thumbnails, double topics. It's just I want to give you the best that I possibly could give you. All right, let's jump into today's show. And by the way, thank you so much for being here. And I really do appreciate everyone's time. Okay. Back in 1997, it was a perfect day. It was actually Valentine's Day that specific year. And it was a great day. In fact, I organized a fun party for the office. Yes, and on time comes the bird clock. Let it do its thing. Okay, Birdie. It's 6 a.m. in New York City at this time on this day, and I am recording this on March 29th, which happens to be, if I'm not mistaken, Dawn from Sensible Living with Money Mom's birthday. She has a big birthday this year. She's turning the corner to the big 60. You'll be fine, Dawn. I'm 66. I'm still here to talk about it. You'll be all right. All right. So, getting back to that, it was Valentine's Day, 1997. Perfect day. Even the weather was good. A happy day. And I planned a party for the office because I was in charge of doing things like that. It was kind of like a little bit of a manager there. And everything came out perfectly. It was a fun day. And went back to the office, and all of a sudden, I noticed people were getting called down to the human resources. So I'm abbreviating this story because I've told it a few times in the past for those who have heard it. But if you're brand new here, welcome. So I noticed a lot of people, one at a time, not the whole crowd, but it was consistent. Got a phone call. Where are you going? Going downstairs to human resources. I'm like, okay, what's this all about? and they would come back with a sullen look on their face. That's never good. And I said to myself, wait a minute, Friday afternoon, hmm, human resources meeting, in that place that could only mean one thing, and in a lot of places. That's when routinely a lot of people do certain things at their office, like lay off people or, terminate Friday afternoon. So everybody was like looking at each other for whatever the reason. They didn't say a word. I got a call. Oh, would you mind coming down to the human resources? Well, I said, at least I'll know what's going on. I'm not going to be left out here. But what I found out, I was not too thrilled about finding out. So after 7 or 8 years, I think it was close to 8 years of absolute devoted service, always on time, if not early. I had the reputation for being early. I went in even if I wasn't feeling well. Yes, one of those trooper people. That was me. I went to work no matter what. If I took 1 or 2 days out as a sick day throughout that period of time, they were lucky. And they knew all that. So, in my opinion, I was a great worker. So, Jan, unfortunately, due to that managerial problems of their own, they were cutting back people. They were laying people off. Okay, this is not about your performance. I said to myself, I better not be, because I know I was absolutely great at what I did. I was consistent and I did the right thing. I mean, you know yourself. You know it yourself if you're up to snuff or not. And I knew I was beyond up to. So we are releasing you, which is another word for layoff, but you are not being fired, okay? So they wanted to make that perfectly clear, which I think is part of the reason that some of the people that came back from their little office excursion, little meeting, came back with a puzzled look and like just not a happy look, put it that way. So I said, really? So I so what is going on? Well, office cutbacks. We're releasing, blah blah blah. Big portion of the staff, blah blah blah, blah and blah. Okay, I was in utter and complete shock. And quite honestly, I do not even know how I got home that day because my mind was like 1,000 miles away. The streets were really, really. I walked home. Streets were really, really big with a lot of traffic. Okay. Just imagine. So it was like the good Lord is by my side always. But I'm telling you, so I remembered the words, you're being released, but you're not fired. I said, does this go in writing? So the person looked at me like, huh? Can you please put this down in writing in a letter? I wanted to not only did I want to let them know that I agree with you that I worked very well, but I wanted in writing that I'm being released and not fired. Like in other words, this mismanagement on their end, whatever. So I did manage to get a letter. They said you have 2 weeks, and they gave me 2 weeks and severance, blah blah. Well, it was a good job and good benefits, and that's important, by the way. When you look for a job, what kind of benefits are you going to get? Are you going to get any benefits? Do you have a thing called severance? Okay. So there were a lot of things, thankfully, all in bold print, capital letters, thankfully, that was already in place just in case of. But if you're ever told that you're being released, okay, but not fired or something to that effect, get a letter. So I got a glowing letter saying that I was always punctual, I have a bright, sunny disposition. This is the truth. I'm quoting actual. I can't believe I remember these words after all these years, but I do. But I do. And I was able to, within like less than 6 months, go back to work at another place. I took a breather for a month. I did. I said, I'm traumatized by this. This is the thanks I got. You know how we're human. We all react. In fact, all of us that had to go to that same kind of a meeting, we got together and we were like all venting. We were like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr," I look back and I'm so thankful about that letter because if you're going to say to the person, "We are releasing you, but we are not firing you," in other words, has nothing to do with your job performance, put it in writing. Give that person a glowing report. Why should you let a future employer think like, "Well, what happened to you at X, Y, and Z company?" So this was in the private sector and a private sector job. And I'm so grateful that I had the presence of mind to ask for it in writing. If you're going to tell me that, put it in writing. Somebody could say one thing to me just in words, and then I look for a job in the future, for example, back then, and it's just words, and then it just doesn't ferment. It's not written down. So that one little action, and I was able to get a similar job in another place in the private sector, and life goes on. But after I decided to leave that job, the one that I got later on, I made the decision I'm leaving and I'm going to be my own boss. And that's when I went all in and became a power seller on eBay and did other things. I did other things, was my own boss years prior. So I had that experience. I don't ever want to be at the mercy of, but this is me, everyone is different, of, on a Friday afternoon, on a perfect day, you see where I'm going with this. So I just thought I'd share that thought with you, how that worked out for me. Would it be possible for everyone listening to this to get this? No, no. I was just in a position that I knew that in my case, talking about me, I knew that the people, they knew me and they knew my performance and they knew my good work ethic. A matter of fact, this is interesting. This to me meant a lot to me. My own daughter turned around. She has said it on and off over the years, and it really makes my day. You don't think your kids are listening to you. Your kids are listening to you as time goes by. She says, Ma, Ma, she said, thank you so much for teaching me about having a good work ethic, which she does. Not to brag, but she does. She has a very good work ethic. I said, I didn't realize that I was teaching you that. She said, no. She said, don't you remember? And I do remember it like the back of my hand, actually. Remember when I was 14 and I wanted extra money? I used to leave her money every day for school, but she wanted more. I said, well, I said, if you want more money for every single day that you feel that you need, I can't give it to you. I said, but you could certainly earn it after school. And after I signed her work papers, of course, going to school first and foremost. But at that age, you signed some consent form and they could take a little part time job. And she learned at a very early age money management. At that time, you don't think that you're building up some skills. You think I knew it was important, but I didn't realize how important. They're listening, they're watching us. They really are. And then all of these years later, here I am, a senior. Okay. And I heard that compliment again. My sweet daughter must have told me this a number of times in the last few years. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Because she sees that not everyone has a good work ethic, and that could be a mistake. It could be a mistake. Actually, it is a mistake. Let's just call it out for what it is. But um, when you know that you were great at what you did and this thing was kind of like really kind of not good, I said, oh, you're just releasing me. Okay. So I'm not being fired. Put that in writing. Thank you. Best thing I did. All right, everybody. I just thought I'd share. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate everybody's time. And when I say that, I'm not saying it like as an empty little catchphrase at the end of my video. I'm saying it because I really mean it. Thank you so much for being here. And I really do appreciate everybody's time. Your time is just as important as my time. You see where I'm going with this? All right, everybody. Take good care of yourself and your amazing family. And have a great day and weekend. And the usual trouble closing the show. Just click off. You don't have to worry about me clicking off. You could click off. Or if you just want to listen to me laugh it off, you could watch that. I'm going to try it again. Click once. I wish that company would correct their issue. Click once. Click once. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. This is crazy. I'm going to try it again. Click twice. Gotta have a good attitude, right?